Behind the mask.
What up, my boy?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You know what it is.
Man, it's good to be back in the lounge, chopping it up, and we gonna talk a little ball today, my dog.
That's right, man. There's a few things going on in this NFL, in the association, in the league.
Okay.
And I know you feeling a certain sort of way about a few things.
I am. And it's no secret.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, everybody is feeling a few, I don't even say a few ways, but you gotta feel some type of way when the list has been cut down. Pro Football Hall of Fame list has been cut down from, close to 100 guys down to the semi-finalist list.
25.
25. And this year it's out. You know, obviously, all of the players are deserving.
Facts.
And it's a very good chance that all of them will probably get in. Won't get in at the same time, but all of them are deserving.
Facts.
And some are even more deserving that they missed out on, but I ain't gonna go there right now.
Another story for another day.
Another story for another day. But, you know, there's no set number that can go in. But, you know, according to the committee bylaws, between 4 and 9 new members will be selected each year.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's get right to it, man. The first thing that I think about is, what does it take to be a Hall of Famer? And for me, I just think about, you have to be dominant.
Yeah.
And this doesn't mean, okay, you can't be dominant 1 year or 2 years in a row, then you take a couple years off, then you come back. No. It has to be some level of consistency that comes with the dominance.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you see guys make consistent. You see guys make consistent Pro Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put a lot of weight into that.
It's a little different.
It's a little different, but I'm speaking more so in terms of not what has been sold to me from a media perspective. I'm judging it off of what I've lived through and what I've seen from having that cowboy remote with about 8 buttons on it, and you just sitting there consistently running that thing back and forth, and you was like, damn, that's an awesome play. Yeah. So dominance, level of consistency, and the impact of what you made and what you left in the game while you were playing, and now that you're gone, that impact of the stories people can relate to. Yeah. For me, those are like 3 big criteria things that you have to have, I think, in order for you to make it to that next level, going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, to get that gold jacket and be one of the all-time greats. I always say respect to the fans and the people that vote that haven't played the game, but, you know, those people often are looking at the eye test, right? And the eye test we talk about all the time, it's just one sense, right? You're watching the game. You're either in the booth or you're at home in front of a TV at a bar, whatever that might look like, but you didn't feel it. You didn't feel what it was like to have a 300-pound lineman try to block you, or to run down the field and catch a 4-4, 4-3 tight end or receiver coming across the middle. You know, you didn't smell it. There's a smell on game day, bro.
Yeah.
There's a smell on game day.
It is a smell on game day.
You ain't get smacked in your mouth by a fullback or a linebacker blitzing through the A-gap, and then you get that taste in your mouth. You ain't taste it. So all of your senses, you ain't use all your senses to actually play that game and see what that feels like, smells like, tastes like, and looks like to play at that level to make it to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen several players in my years, and not to say that, I'm not a Hall of Famer, you know what I'm saying? But I've seen players, I've been on rosters where I'm blocking guys or going against guys every day, and I'm like, you know what? This dude is a little bit different. This dude is a little bit special. I'll give you a prime example. My first 5 years in the league, I was in the NFC South. Bounced around, started off with the Saints, got drafted by the Saints. Defensive tackle was Leroy Glover. Went against him every day at practice. Pro Bowl player.
Yep.
From the Saints, briefly went to Tampa. Going against Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Simeon Rice.
Yeah.
Every day. You know what that looks like, right?
Yep.
Then from there, when I really started playing with the Carolina Panthers, everybody knows Chris Jenkins. One of the best defensive tackles, like you said, consistently. Injuries, that didn't last long. Couple of years, he was a Pro Bowler, what have you, but that didn't last long.
He was a damn dog.
He was a beast. So had he been healthy, we might have him in this conversation.
Yep.
Over that span of time. Leroy Glover, damn good defensive tackle. Pro Bowler, etc.
Yeah, he was consistent.
He was consistent.
Putting up numbers.
But then out of those three guys I just mentioned, Warren Sapp was the one that did it the most consistently, the longest, the most dominant at his position. He's the person that you game plan and you was like, you know what, we got to stop him. We got to stop these moves. He's the one that players to this day in the league look at and say, I'm doing Warren Sapp's type of moves. You know what I'm saying? The swat, swim over, hop over,
How was that swim move again? It damn sure wasn't like that because Sapp wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He definitely wouldn't be in the Hall. You doing it like that? Negative.
Now, you know what I'm talking
like
about.
Broke down Michael Phelps over there.
There you go, man. Listen, man, I'm just giving props to the people that have done it consistently, like you said, over the span of time. And those are the players that separate themselves when you talk about Hall of Fame caliber players. Now, no knock to anybody I mentioned, no knock to the people that didn't make the list, no knock to the guys that were nominated but didn't make the semifinals list and won't make the finals list. Great players in their own right. But even Sapp and I think I'm going to say TJ, we had TJ Houshmandzadeh on, and he said, yo, you got the Hall of Fame, you got the Hall of Very Good. Like, everybody's not capable of being a Hall of Fame player. And, you know, there's some players this year that, like you said, some great players, but everybody can't go.
Everybody can't go. And which brings to light, this year we have 2 first-time nominees coming up to the plate. Mm-hmm. Made it to the semi-finalist round. And we got to talk about them, bro. Yeah. Julius Peppers and also Antonio Gates, tight end. Julius Peppers, defensive lineman, defensive end. Yeah. Antonio Gates, tight end position, one of the best that it will ever do it.
Both helped revolutionize the position.
Oh, no question. Yeah. No question. And I think it's I'll start with Antonio Gates, though. Mm-hmm. For me, I had the opportunity to play with him for a few years. And the thing was, I only played against him one time. Mm. But because I was always on the East Coast and that AFC Central turned into the North. Then it turned into the East, AFC East. So we really didn't have a lot of battles. But when I went to the West Coast and had the opportunity to play with him, playing in San Fran and then getting a chance to see more of him, I was more than impressed. Yeah. And, you know, you look at his resume, too. 6-time All-Pro, NFL All-2000 team, 8-time Pro Bowler, close to 12,000 yards receiving.
That is tight end.
Oh, listen, as a tight end, but this is the one like that's mind-boggling. 116 touchdowns as a tight end, which ranks 7th all time and is most ever as a tight end.
Drop the mic, bro.
Man, get that man his jacket.
That's it. That's it.
And let me tell you why. Like, I can read off all of the stats and all of that, but I'm going to give you something a little bit different. I'm going to take you behind the mask on what made this dude so special. For me, Antonio Gates came into the game, and he had a big background in basketball. Mm-hmm. And I remember when he was selected, Marty Schottenheimer brought him on, and I remember Marty was talking about him, and I remember this clip on SportsCenter, and he was saying, this kid can be special. Once he learns how to play the game, he can be special. They asked him why. He then responded and said, he has a basketball background that he actually brings on inside of the hashes or in between the hash marks on the field. Yeah. And because everybody don't have that type of background, that's what makes him special. It made me want to look at him more. And so when I was actually in Buffalo, I was like, man, let me see what this dude is doing. And two, he was next level now.
Yeah.
And for me, like during the time when I was drafted, you had a bunch of tight ends who came in as, tight end position was known as like, oh, he's a slug.
Yeah, blocker.
Big guy, put my hands on you, throw you down. But Shannon Sharp was that guy who was different.
Facts, yeah, facts.
He was different. Obviously, Pro Football Hall of Famer, another one.
Tony Gonzalez.
Another guy, huge basketball background, went to Cal. But with Antonio Gates, what made him so different, his ability to be able to body guys, to make catches. But the number one thing for me was his ability to be able to run routes and create separation. Even though as a defender, you knew what he was going to do. Yeah. He was the only tight end that was going to run to the sticks. And as a backer, as a safety, you still knew it.
Yeah.
And you still couldn't stop it. The only player now that I've seen, you got more tight ends who had some of these same traits, but the guy who is next in line, who's going to get his jacket, is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs tight end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know his name. Travis Kelce. One of your favorites. So when we talk about Antonio Gates, man, his ability to be able to create separation.
Yeah.
And the unique thing, what pissed me off at practice trying to cover Gates is like, he had this little like he would sit you down, but he had this burst. And this burst, his 5-yard burst was better than anybody. If you put him against any defensive end who coming off on the line trying to get to the quarterback, I'm willing to bet anything Antonio Gates' burst was just as good as theirs. And that's what made him so hard to cover, because when he hit that burst, even if he was running the seam, Gacy wasn't fat. Like, he wasn't like a burner. I ain't saying he was slow. He wasn't a burner. But when he hit that little X button burst, bruh, he creates separation, and it gives enough window for Phillip Rivers to be able to put that ball wherever he wanted to. And that's what made Antonio Gates so special.
Yeah.
His ability to create separation, his ability to be able to run routes in a way to where most coaches would coach you, okay, we need for you to run an out route. Mm-hmm. But he would add a little sauce to it and make that out route was like special. Or the jerk route. I remember playing him in San Francisco, and we would say, all right, Gatesy coming across the middle. Don't let him put the hot sauce on you and then jerk you off. Pause. But I'm telling you, bro.
Somebody get him.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, bro, like, Gacy, dog, he was special in that way, and that really propelled him to set records and set numbers while he was in the league. Yeah,
definitely, man. Everybody knows that remembers, or is a football savant, remembers Antonio Gates. And I think the ill part, or the part that maybe just doesn't make quite sense to me, is before Gronk was Gates, right? But people talk about some of the best tight ends to ever play in the game right now, the novice fans, and some of them skip over Antonio Gates, which is, to me, is appalling. It's disrespectful, because he was, in our time, obviously, he was one of the better players, one of the best players to play tight end in the NFL without a football background. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was amazing, and I got to agree with you. Out of all of the semi-finalists that are nominated, he's one of the people that I think should be first ballot. Because, again, 116 touchdowns as a tight end, top 7 ever.
Man, that's
number one as a tight end. What else you got to do, right? And the other person that you said is a first-time semi-finalist, somebody that's a former teammate of mine, Julius Peppers. Another another player with a basketball background, played ball at North Carolina too. Phenom.
Pep was the freak after the freak.
He was the freak after the freak.
And the original freak in our era was Javon Curse.
Yeah, like to play to see Julius Peppers play and to play on his team and watch what he did to other offensive tackles, bro, he would embarrass them. He would bring the basketball background out on the football field.
He wouldn't do that now.
I promise. He was.
What would he do then?
So we see now Myles Garrett come up to the line of scrimmage and do all of this and look like he crossing players over. Pep was doing that back in 02, 03. I've seen it. We went to the Super Bowl. He did it to me in practice. There's no film on it, but he did it to me on practice.
Did you recover?
I was hungover, man. We was in Houston partying. I was hungover, but he
man,
literally got me.
You wasn't on recover anyway.
I wasn't going to recover, but I'm just saying.
Don't try to blame it on I was hungover. You wasn't no damn hungover. He crossed your ass over.
He crossed me over. Yo, it was a wrap. Devin, I wasn't going. I'm a man there, man. Don't try to, no lies in the lounge. He crossed me over. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was laughing. Doesn't matter. I didn't fall. It's all right if you slip, as long as you don't fall.
Okay, you got beat, but you didn't fall.
Didn't fall.
Proceed. That's okay.
I didn't fall. But watching this, man, this is a clip. We were playing against the Buccaneers. I want to say 02, 03. Brad Johnson, I believe, the quarterback, throws the ball to Pittman. Remember Michael Pittman?
Yeah,
running
Michael
back?
Pittman.
It was like a little screenplay. Peppers on one side, throws the ball to Pittman on the other side in the flat. Catches the ball, Pittman strikes out, runs through everybody. Peppers on a total opposite side of the field. Retraces his footsteps, runs all the way down the field, stops Pittman from making the touchdown, maybe at the 10 or 5-yard line. Mind you, it was already like a 40-something, 50-something yard gain. So this man, his speed was phenomenal. His strength was phenomenal. And you're talking about stats, 7-time All-Pro.
Wow.
NFL's all-decade team for the 2000s and the 2010s, bro. Not only that, but then he was such an athlete, he did it whenever he touched the ball as well, right? 159 sacks, 11 interceptions, 6 touchdowns.
Hold on, man.
11 interceptions as a defensive end.
I need to fact check that.
11 interceptions.
11 touchdowns and 6 picks.
11 interceptions, 6 touchdowns as a defensive end. Right? Scooping scores, interceptions, whatever that might be. That's more than a lot of receivers make in their whole career that get drafted to play receiver in the NFL. And this man's a defensive end, bro.
That's real talk.
That straight up and down. No lies in the lounge. Here's the stat out of everything that lets you know how dominant this guy was. He's in the Panthers Hall of Honor, right? Which is one of the all-time Carolina Panthers, the best players to ever play in the game. Got nominated this year.
Yep.
Immortalized in Carolina and Charlotte. And he's one of the top 100 Chicago Bears ever. And we know how historic that franchise is.
Wow.
So you one of the best players to play for the Carolina Panthers. You one of the best players to play for the Chicago Bears ever. Dominance, athletic, revolutionized that position. Like you said, the freak after the freak. If this man ain't first ballot, man, something ain't right with the process, bro. Something ain't right with the process. I've seen it. I'm not trying to be a homer because that's my guy, and I play, former teammate and everything.
No, but I think it's important though.
Real spill. And as a player, as we know guys that we played against that were Hall of Fame caliber players, right?
Yep.
Some guys that stood out, like I said. Did you not go against some offensive lineman that you felt like, you know what? Nah, this guy going. This is a little bit different. Pep was that guy. Ask any lineman. Pep was that guy.
You're right. And to that point, for me, I'm impressed with just Pep. What was it, 11?
11 interceptions, 6 touchdowns, bro.
Bro, I had like 19. I had 19 interceptions.
How many touchdowns?
I had 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
But Pep
Impressive.
got 11, and this man had his hand in the dirt.
Hand in the dirt, man. Go watch the film. Do not, I promise. One thing they do, people get convenient amnesia. You forget if it's not your era, if it's not what you've seen, and now we got social media. You know what I'm saying? Nah, y'all, look it up, man. Do yourself a favor. Google Antonio Gates highlights. Google Julius Peppers highlights. And see what these players brought to the game, man.
To that point, you said you went up against offensive linemen, and you can tell when somebody is different.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you somebody who was different.
Look at that.
And I truly believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. Offensive tackle, played left tackle, first year in the league, switched him over to right, and he was that guy. at both positions. Not both. Both.
Both of them.
Both of them. Willie Anderson.
Big Stu.
And now Big Stu has been up on the semi-finalists now for consecutive years. But bro, like when you talk about guys who were just special, and this is the thing, I've harped on this before, but this is the thing that I really want to convey in this, because a lot of guys are deserving, and chances are the majority of them probably will get in. They won't get in at the same time.
Yeah.
But when we talk about Willie Anderson, one thing I want to bring up is, like, he was dominant on a bad football team. To that point, I was drafted to the same team he was in Cincinnati. I didn't play on Monday Night Football until my 10th year in the league.
Hey.
That's bullshit.
Hey.
Willie had, throughout the time when I was there, my 5 years, he only had one TV game. So people don't realize the impact that he had on top of the game. Let me give you his stat line. Pro Football Focus has him the highest graded pass blocker, not just in the past 5 years, 10 years, not even 15, 20 years.
Crazy, bro.
Bruh, for PFF total grades of recent Pro Football Hall of Fame linemen since 2006, Anderson he's rated ahead of Orlando Pace, Steve Hutchinson, Alan Faneca, Will Shields, and Kevin Mawai. In 13 years of playing the game for Willie Anderson, guess how many sacks that he gave up?
How many?
That wasn't, I say guess.
13 years, 20, 25.
Negative 16.
Dang.
That's like one a year, 1 point, whatever the math is, mathematician. Y'all figure it out. No, that's unheard of.
It is unheard of, bro.
And hold on, it gets better now. He only gave up like 1 sack a year, bro, in 13 years of playing. He faced 10 of the top 16 all-time pass rushers, according to Pro Football Reference. And he only allowed 1 sack. And just to give you some perspective on like what he's been able to do or what he did, those pass rushers was Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Kevin Green. Oh, and also that guy you just mentioned a few minutes ago, Julius Peppers, Chris Dolman, Michael Strahan, Jason Taylor, Terrell Suggs, Richard Dent, Jared Allen. Dang. And the sack that he gave up against came in the last minute of his rookie year. He gave that up to Bruce Smith, who is also a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to give you like the real actually playing with this guy. I remember back in 2000, we played against the Denver Broncos. Corey Dillon broke the single game rushing record for 278 yards. And it was held by Walter Payton. It was at home in Cincinnati. And what made this game so spectacular, it wasn't necessarily a lot of points scored, but they could not stop Corey Dillon. Now, I say this because imagine, I want to take you like, there's no stat line to show you like how good of a run blocker really was. It actually is if you look at PFF.
Now it is. Yeah.
Now it is. Yeah. But back then it wasn't. And so I think a lot of this gets lost in translation. Let me put it into perspective for you how hard it was. Our quarterback that game had a QBR rating of less than 45. Okay. If that was compared to a pulse, if somebody was like on the table and the paramedics are trying to revive them, they would flatline. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you perspective of like how hard it is. Also, in that game, this also speaks to Corey Dillon. I remember watching from the sideline, bro, starting in the second quarter, third, fourth quarter. Denver didn't even have a free safety in the middle of the field. Nor were they blitzing. They brought everybody inside of the box and left the two receivers covered with corners because they knew we were not going to throw the ball. But it speaks volumes of the offensive lineman, also with really Willie Anderson, what I'm bringing this back to. And at some point, we gonna come back and we gonna highlight Corey Dillon. Because for you to run through a 9-man box and have an offensive lineman like Willie Anderson leading the charge, man, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
You played offensive lineman. You know how hard it is when it's like playing 9-on-7 in practice, and the defense know there's no threat of us passing the ball.
And the defense got the 9.
And you still, Corey Dillon breaking 60, 70-yard runs.
Yeah.
It's stupid. So, like, bro, so when we talk about, like, who is Hall of Fame worthy, man, the Cincinnati Bengals been in existence, I want to say since 69. No, maybe in the 60s. Late franchise came to the party. But we can't get lost in the sauce just because they did not have a lot of winning teams, nor they did not win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I want to bring to light is oftentimes people look at those teams and they throw everybody up under the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't win. They ain't got no good players. Man, you out your rabbit ass mind.
Yeah, that's a fact. And you can't discredit Willie because he primarily played right tackle in his career. Because right around that time, there was a switch to where left tackles were highlighted in terms of the value because that was considered the quarterback's blind side. But Willie did his thing. Strahan, we talked to Strahan before. He said he's hands down a Hall of Famer. And this was years ago. Big Sapp, Warren Sapp said Willie's a hands down a Hall of Famer. And when you talk about guys that have played the game that know on that level, so you got 2 Hall of Famers vouching for another guy on the other side of the ball, they know it's real, man. They know it's real. And you talk about consistency over and over and over and over, dominance over and over. It don't get much better than some of the players we talked about. You know what I'm saying? Willie Anderson. And this, again, there's some guys that are deserving on the semi-finals list that won't make the finals list. And I know some of the guys that I feel that should be finalists, should make the Hall this year. And it's difficult. Obviously, Pep, we talked about Pep. I agree with you, Willie Anderson. Pat Willis been nominated a couple times. Pat.
Yep, Pat has been nominated a few times.
I'm gonna be a homer and say Steve Smith. You know, I don't. It's so much competition at that wide receiver position too. I don't know that he's gonna make it this year because you still got your Reggie Waynes, your Torrey Holtz up there. You got Devin Hester. He played. He was a returner primarily.
Yeah. Like for me, Devin has been. I'm glad you brought that up because when we talk about Devin Hester and I see Devin's making a few appearances on podcasts and he's pleading his case. Like most of everything that he's mentioned, like I remember. I remember all of it. But Devin Hester, just to add some light to it, Devin Hester was one of those guys to where I was on a team and I remember the special teams coach. When it was time to go over special teams that week when we played against Devin Hester, it wasn't, special teams, come on in here. We don't talk about what we gonna do. He brought the whole defense. Now, even like the big-ass defensive lineman they ain't covering. They ain't gonna be covering that. But he wanted everybody to realize the significance, the importance of what it was going to take to stop Devin Hester. Yeah. I've never had that happen before on any other team. Like that's the respect, that's the attention to detail, and like that's the priority that he deserved.
Yeah, all-time returning touchdown leader at 20.
Wow.
20 returns, you know what I'm saying, all time. So he's definitely somebody that, again, is deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. The one thing I'll say, though, is when you look at, let's say, a Devin Hester compared to, in my opinion, a Steve Smith, right? Devin Hester, hands down, one of the top returners ever in the game. I go back to Steve Smith, 3-time All-Pro, Triple Crown, led the league in receptions when I was with him in 2005 with the Carolina Panthers. That's reception. I think he was tied for receptions. Receiving yards, he won, was top. And then receiving touchdowns, he was top. Over 14, damn near 1,500 yards receiving, 89 touchdowns, right?
Yep.
Total.
Right.
But only 81 of them were receiving. The other 8 were returns. We forgot Steve Smith was a returner early in his career as well.
See, now you bringing it up.
So when you look at...
I see what you're doing.
You feel me? So when you look at different guys, I can see why people would vote against the Devin Hester. I don't agree with it. I think the man is one of the top ever to touch the ball. Like, we kicked away from him when we played the Bears back in the day. We kicked away from the man. You know what I'm saying? You just would not. It was dumb, stupid to kick to him. So when you have a player of that caliber, that's the Hall of Fame type player. And if he only gets one return a game and he houses that one return, yo, that man is something special. And he did it consistently. You know what I mean? I just look at Steve and what he's done. I just think he's one of the players this year. Do I think he's going to make it this year with all the talent? I don't know, because I think he's only been a semi-finalist twice, and you got your Reggie Waynes that's been a semi-finalist 5 times, and guys that have been up there more. So I don't know with those stats that are kind of, you know, Steve Smith may have more yards than a Reggie Wayne or a Torrey Holt, but they may have more Super Bowl rings. They may have more receptions. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on how you look at it, man. It's tough though, but like you said, all those guys are deserving, man.
Yeah. Good thing. Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith. I start with Steve Smith. Steve Smith played against Steve a few times.
Had him on the show.
Played against Reggie a few times. Not a lot, but I played against him a lot. Played a lot of teams that played against Reggie. So I had more opportunity to see on film what he consistently put out. Now, Steve could beat you any type of way.
Yeah.
They would give the ball to handoffs to Steve.
Yeah.
Steve would beat you on deep routes. But for me, the caveat, what made Steve so good, you can give the ball to you can get a ball to Steve anywhere on the field, and he would excel.
Facts.
You could give him numerous times I've seen him get screenshots, and he taking and housing 60, 70, 80.
Facts.
Then he get up and be talking cash, money.
That's facts.
That's Steve Smith.
Facts.
And so I admired that about him, because for me, on the scouting report, when we walk in, when I was playing against Buffalo, he was known as, this guy is a home run waiting for the right pitch. And if he gets it, and if you don't recognize the little things in order to turn him back, if you miss the tackle to your help, he's gone. Yeah. And that's going to be on you. That's Steve Smith. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, if you are not mentally strong.
Yeah, head in on the swivel.
Oh, before we get to that, if you're not mentally strong, he will talk so dirty to you.
Oh, yeah.
That you would want to go find your mother and tell her to console you, or find your old lady and have her to console you. Like, that's the type of dude that he was. Yeah. And then the other part of it, too, was, like, Steve was like a shark. He was that dude to where if he felt like you soft or you equivalent to whatever animal in the ocean and you got blood leaking from you, Steve was gonna attack it.
Facts.
And he was gonna keep adding pressure. Facts. He was going to keep applying pressure until you fold.
Yeah. And
I've seen him do plenty of guys like that.
Respect. I've seen him do a couple guys too. And
we even talked about it when we had him on the show. So that was the thing for me that stood out for Steve. Now we go to, like, Reggie Wayne was just, he was smooth, man. He was just classy.
He's smooth, yeah.
That Negro was just classy at everything he did.
Yeah.
The way he ran his routes, we talk about creating separation. To me, I thought he was a master of it. He made everything look exactly alike. Even when he ran a comeback, I would have betted my week paycheck that he was running a 9 route. Like, that's the type of dude that he was.
Stop on a dime.
Stop on a dime. He had the benefit of having one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game with Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning, he saw that. And so you could tell they worked with each other so much. They would be out there having a full conversation with the 25-second play clock going on. And I don't care if you knew sign language, you still couldn't figure it out.
Couldn't figure it out, that's a fact.
But they performed, though. So I appreciate what both brought to the game. They were exceptional, too.
Man, listen, when you got players like that, again, you just wish you had more selections to allow them to get in the Hall of Fame. And then that's the offensive side receivers. But we look at linebackers, two guys that we know well. We feel are both deserving. And I will say this, Spikes was letting the committee know earlier because somebody else was nominated as a semi-finalist a few years ago. But we, this man right here sitting across from me, definitely somebody that's deserving. Another story for another day, though.
Damn
Salute,
right.
my brother. But two of our guys, man, Pat Willis and London Fletcher, comparable stats to arguably the best linebacker, at least of our era, but one of the best linebackers ever, comparable stats to Ray Lewis.
Yep.
So when you look at...
If you look at the body of years.
The body of years,
but
yeah.
more so London Fletcher over the extensive period of time.
Yeah, I think one of the things that when I look at Pat, the best compliment you can get from your peers, from one of the GOATs, is when they say, you know what, I recognize your game, I respect your game, I got love for you. So as we became, going through our career, it became popular to do the jersey swaps.
Yep.
And I don't know if y'all remember this, that one time Ray Lewis asked for Pat Willis' jersey. And Pat was like, nah, man, yo, where your jersey? Because Ray didn't play that game.
Yep.
So Pat was like, nah, man, where your jersey at? Let me get yours first. I ain't just go, take it off right here. And it was out of respect, though. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
The thing I think, when you have one of the GOATs ask you for your game jersey and respect you, you know you're doing something right. You know what I'm saying? And we could read off Pat's stats, but the bro just made the SEC Legends one of the best players ever to play in the SEC.
6-time All-Pro.
49ers.
Only played 8 years. Led the league in tackles 2 times.
Out of 8 years.
Out of 8 years. 2-time. Well, he was on the all-decade team in NFL in the 2010s.
And only played 8 seasons.
So, listen, man, he was I'm going to use the phrase what Kirby Smart loves to use. He was a ball-hawking Jesse, buddy. Yes, he was. That was him, relentless. And I never seen a cat who will, fighting to keep his weight 230.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. Never seen a linebacker that could run like the wind. You talk about somebody cutting the grass, he cuts the grass when he runs.
Facts.
And to actually see it and play with him, that was another level.
Yeah.
That was another level. And even with, you go with London Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
My boy Bam, my original OG, like that was my captain.
Yeah.
One of the best leaders that I've ever been around.
Facts.
And, I started this conversation off by saying, the criteria for me, you have to be dominant and you have to be consistent. And it can't be a year on here, year off there, 2 years off, 2 years on. No, he was Mr. Consistency. Leads all linebackers all time with the amount of starts and also like playing in games.
Mm-hmm.
He never missed a game. Played in, I want to say 200, close to 240 games.
Yeah.
And never missed one.
256.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fletch. 256.
I like your numbers right.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Like he was always consistent, bro. And the thing about him was the consistency came from being productive.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did he could rush the passer on blitzes, but his IQ of the game is what really separated him.
Yeah.
I remember our time in Buffalo. Like, Fletch was an asshole. I'm gonna be real.
I know.
He was an asshole.
That time you flipped me in practice, I ain't never forget that either.
He was the type of player, and we hear this all the time. He's on our team. We love him.
Mm-hmm.
Keep doing it. But if he's on the opposing team, we hate you, Fletch.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of dude that he was. His IQ was second to none.
Yeah.
He always understood. It's one thing to be able to understand like what everybody is doing, but Fletch understood the why.
Mm-hmm.
He understood why you had to align on fire zones as a corner. Okay, let's start at 8 yards, and then we can backpedal. Or if you're playing a trap coverage, let's be more aggressive and make sure you have eyes back. He understood how everything works with each other, and he understood game situations while he was in the heat of the moment. And so taking his IQ and what he was able to do, for me, that's what really separated him. It made me a better football player.
Yeah.
Just because he did some things that he did, it was like I would naturally get it, but he put emphasis on it and he became master of it.
Yeah.
And so I salute him for that. And his leadership capabilities of just being productive and doing it everywhere that he went.
Facts.
You know, so and the last thing I'll say on Fletch is this thing everybody has been seeing pop around. And a lot of people compare his stats to Ray Lewis. You know, one played 16, the other one played 17. Ray played 17, Fletch played 16. You look at the tackles, damn near identical. The tackles per season, Fletch averaged 127, Ray averaged 121. Forced fumbles are the same, 19. Interceptions, Ray had 31, Fletch had 23. And the sacks, Ray had 41 and a half, Fletch had 39.
Yeah,
so
right there. Yeah.
Like when you stay in the game that long, ain't nobody keeping you around the game just because, oh, he's great for the locker room. Man, ain't nobody doing that.
Yeah, after a while, it's that run its course. Yeah.
Man, we don't pay somebody else to get them up in here.
Put them out to the pasture.
But these dudes here, they put in the work, man.
Facts.
And they were productive.
Yeah.
Every stop that they went. So salute to all of them, man. Everybody can't get in. Plenty of other guys who are, all of the guys are deserving. We ain't even talk about Fred T, one of our favorites, man.
Yeah, Fred T, gotta get in. Dwight Freeney. God, Freeney was a damn demigod out there, bro.
Freeney was the most dominant pass rusher that people really don't acknowledge. And I don't know, because his stature when he came in, he wasn't like the typical pass rusher.
Yeah.
What, maybe 6'2"? And you see pass rushers, they're 6'4". You see the tall guys, like they have the statue size of like Julius Peppers.
Bruce Smith, Javon Curse.
But this dude here was dominant, and he perfected the spin move.
Like I said, revolutionized that position. The spin move, then that dip under that I used to do when the lineman try to punch you and you looking, you like, oh, he's by me. And then you just like,
you over there whipping.
You whipping, yo. It's like you play a patty cake out there and the man is already by you trying to get sack the quarterback, bro. Like, listen, Freeney, another one, bro. He was cold.
Cold-blooded. I give you another one. Fred Taylor. I came in the league. I had to go up against Fred Taylor, Eddie George, the bus, and Jamal Lewis. That was the AFC Central.
That's why your neck's so big.
That's why you damn right. That's why my neck's so big. I'm like, man, I don't have a week off. And oh, by the way, in practice, I had to go up against Corey Dillon.
Yeah.
They might need me to, like, I need to go in that committee room. I can speak on their behalf. I really can.
How to survive the NFL.
I had to see him 2 times a year.
Facts.
And all of these guys were, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Jamal was a 10,000 career yard rusher. Or if he wasn't, he was like 10 to 15 yards away.
Yeah.
He was close. But hell, you that close, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you.
He had a 2,000-yard season one year, too.
Yeah, he had a 2,000-yard season. So, man, I love talking ball. We could talk about this all day, but to the point, all of the guys are deserving. Everybody is not going to get in.
Yeah.
But we just want to shed a little light on the ones who are those dogs.
Facts. Salute to everybody that got the opportunity to get that far. Man, wish they opened up the finalists even more. You know what I mean? But it kind of is what it is. It's part of the game, bro. You know how I go. But shoot. That Hall of Fame class, whatever it's going to be in 24, going to be major. Let's get Spikes on for 2025 since y'all out there in committee. Come on, man.
2025, baby.
Let's
do it.
Behind the Mask.